What was Mr. Weizmann's childhood like growing up?
He was born to middle-class family in Western Russia. They didn't have enough of money, but the most important thing to his parents was education. This is why he and his 11 sisters and brothers, they were 12, they all went not only to high school, but to university as well. So sometimes they didn't have what to eat, but they all went to study in universities. And because they couldn't study in Russia, the Jews at the time couldn't go to a college or university in Russia, so they all went to the West, to Germany, France, Switzerland, United States, of course, to study. So they was a very, very educated family.
What was the Zionist movement about? What were its goals, and what was Mr. Weizmann's role in it?
Okay, thank you. I'm sorry you have to speak slowly because of the noise here. The Zionist movement was a movement of Jews, first from Europe, who believed that the Jews have a right to a territory or a state like all other nations in the world. They began to be active when Weizmann was very young, at the end of the 19th century. Weizmann was one of the activists in the beginning, but in 1920, when it was a huge movement, a worldwide movement, in 1920 he became the president of the World Zionist Organization, and he began to do, and he continued to do so until 1946. In 1948, when Israel became a state, he became the first president of Israel.
How did Mr. Weizmann's discovery of industrial fermentation lead to the Balfour Declaration? What did that mean for establishing the state of Israel?
If I understand you well, Weizmann was very active. You know what Balfour Declaration is about, do you?
No.
I'm asking a question. Do you know what is Balfour Declaration?
Could you explain it?
Ask him slowly.
Yes?
Could you explain it?
I explain, okay. In 1917, Lord Rothschild got a letter from the British Foreign Minister, his name was Balfour, saying that the British agree that the Jewish have the right for independent states. Behind this letter was Chaim Weizmann. He was very active. He, at this time, 1917, it was the time of the First World War. And Weizmann helped a lot through his invitation, through his scientific work. He helped a lot to the British government to fight against the Germans and the Allies. So in return, they gave him the Balfour Declaration, meaning, again, that the Jews have the right to return to Zion, meaning to Palestine at the time. This was the first time that one of the greatest world power in the world, gave an official agreement that the Jews have a right for independent states. You can't imagine the state of Israel without a Balfour Declaration, meaning without Chaim Weizmann.
ahead.
Okay, so how might the outcome of World War I and World War II have been different without Mr. Weizmann's discovery?
Okay, a wonderful question. If I understand it well, the outcome of both First and Second War helped a lot Weizmann to push ahead the project, if I may say, of the State of Israel. Because of the First World War, the British got the mandate to rule in Palestine, and they did help a lot to the Zionist movement, and don't forget, Weizmann was the president of this movement, to work toward an independence. After the Second World War and after the Holocaust, there was no question that the Jews have a right for independent state, and Weizmann knew it very well. But let me emphasize one thing. Weizmann and his colleagues did succeed to establish Israel in 1948 after the Second World War, not because of the Holocaust, but in spite of the Holocaust. It was a huge disaster, as you know, but because they prepared an autonomy in Palestine or Eretz Israel before the Holocaust, and because, fortunately, the British protected Palestine, so the German couldn't take it and save the Jews there. Because of it, they were able, Weizmann and his people, to have an independence. I mean, to establish Israel only 3 years after the Holocaust.
Why should we consider Mr. Weizmann an unsung hero?
Oh, I think of the hero because just imagine that someone who has no country behind him, no budget without him, he went all over the world and convinced everybody from the state in the West to the Chinese in the East for the right of the Jews for independence. It's a kind of a hero because he did something unbelievable without any organization behind him. And if Herzl, the one who gave the Zionists the vision of independence, which was something very, theoretically, practically, he is the father of the State of Israel. So it's a kind of a hero, no doubt about that.
Okay, ask him if there's anything else he would like to add about Mr. Weizmann that would be good for us to know.
Is there anything else you would like to add about Mr. Weizmann that would be useful for us to know?
Yeah, I would like to emphasize one thing. He was a proud Jew, but at the same time, he saw that there is no difference between people all over the world. Being a president of a national movement, sometimes you do think only about your own people, but not Chaim Weizmann. He thinks that you can do it, and you have to think about human beings, about people all over the world as equal, and to fight for freedom for everybody in the universe. That's it. Thank you.
Okay. Thank you so much for doing the interview today with our students. We sure
Thank you very
appreciate
much. My pleasure.
it. All right. Thank you so much.
Bye.
All right.